So how does that property end? Do you still own it today?
No, I sold it 2019,
Okay.
a little early before, essentially right before COVID. I did make money off of it, so it
Yeah.
did go up in value at that time. And I used that money to actually kind of kickstart the next financial chapter of our lives at that point.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. So um you sell that. I assume because it was your primary, you were able to take out the profits tax free. I would
We
guess.
were, yeah, yeah. There's a military, 121 exclusion,
Yep.
where you have to, if you live 2 years, the last 5 years. Now the
Yep.
military, there is a military clause in there where if we get orders, it actually excludes that as well, to where we didn't
Nice.
actually pay taxes. Yeah, so really, it was essentially tax-free money that we got, and then the big paycheck, that.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah. And at that point, we put, and again, I still really hadn't discovered that was the really start of the financial around that time frame. And I was like, all right, what do we do with this money? And
Right.
so we needed to put down payment on a car that we needed for a van. We were, starting a family.
Sure.
And next we put it into the stock market.
How did that do?
So it actually worked out pretty decently.
Oh, good for you.
We actually had yeah, I ran to kind of like that financial start where I ran to Warren Buffett, and I
Oh,
really
nice.
connected with Warren Buffett. So I have the intelligent investor behind me. Really,
That's a good book.
advanced book if you are just starting out. And I ran to like Phil Town, Rule One Investing, which really worked out. And
Nice.
so I got into the market essentially right around that 2020 mark when it all crashed, is
Oh,
when I
good.
started going into it.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, all right, is this the big crash that Warren Buffett talks about? Am I taking the risk? And so we started very small. We didn't put the whole amount in there. I had to convince my wife to even put the money in there. Again, we were raised very,
yeah.
anti. We weren't really. My families aren't really big into the stock market. They're like, oh, it's gambling, it's gambling. And even though 401ks are stock market and
Yeah.
that kind of, but so anyway, so we get in there. I put like $5,000 into the stock market. I bought some stuff, and using Warren Buffett's method, I was doing the evaluation in Phil Town. I was doing the evaluation on it, doing the research,
Nice.
spending the time, and essentially that the first stock doubled out of
Nice.
nowhere. And so I was like, all right, it's that value. Warren Buffett says that I can hold it or sell it. So I actually decided to sell and then move it to the next one. And it was kind of like I hit that perfect plateau of one stock after another, and I had an amazing return that year, and essentially went from like $5,000 to like close to $100,000
Nice
within
work.
within the year. And then um, after that, they started raising interest rates, and much like your story, it went back down again. And I was like, oh, why is this not continuing up? And where do I go?
Oh, I know
And
that story. That's just somebody I know has that exact story. Yes.
yeah, and I was like, this is probably not the forever method that I want to use. And I tell you, when it went down, that really hit me like a brick. And
Yeah.
luckily we were still positive. Obviously, we started out with a very low amount, and that's when I was like, all right, maybe there's other investments that I can jump into. And that's where I found one rental at a time. I started looking at Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they started talking about property. I was like, all right, property is the way to go.
Yeah.